Good Terminology Tuesday morning. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Today I wanted to run through some terminology specific to inside the gym. We've talked a lot about nutrition in previous videos. Wanted to hit you up with some gym terminologies or workout terminologies today. We're going to go through a couple of them, okay? First one up is you'll hear people say AMRAP. You might not even know what it is they're saying. It's an acronym AMRAP, which stands for as many repetitions as possible. Talk about reps in a second. But basically what AMRAP is you're going until failure, total failure, trying to completely exhaust yourself as many repetitions as possible. A lot of times we'll do this as a finisher set or the last set for an exercise routine. And it's basically you're just trying to completely exhaust whatever muscle group it is that you're working. So AMRAP, A-M-R-A-P, as many reps as possible. Second one up, we're going to go in alphabetical order. Bro science. If you hang out at the gym or with a lot of fitness geeks, you will hear bro science all the time. By bro science, what we mean is it's kind of like maybe urban legend or something like that, where we claim that it's science, or this is what works, this is how you have to do it, but it's not really necessarily based on actual science. And we've covered science in a previous one. It's basically got to be a repeatable process, right? And also there again, if it works for you, it may not work for me. 8 billion of us on a planet, remember? So yeah, bro science, kind of like pseudoscience. Might work, probably not. Cheating. Cheating, kind of just what it sounds like. You're not doing what it is you're supposed to be doing. You're not being faithful to whatever it is. That could be with food. People talk about cheat days. Oh, I'm going to have a cheat day, which basically means you just binged. Cheat days are okay, but let's not go crazy with them. You can't have 7 of those in a row. And as far as in the gym cheating, a lot of times we're cheating our reps. Like people do crazy stuff all the time where they're not actually using proper form, or they're swinging themselves, or they're just basically not doing or performing an exercise properly. So they're cheating themselves out of what they should be doing or could be gaining from the actual exercise itself. All right, next up is concentric. Concentric or concentration part of the exercise where you're actually concentrating, think concentrate for concentric, and performing the lifting or the execution part of the exercise where you're lifting the weight, okay, against gravity. You could be pulling it, you could be pushing it, whatever. You're still lifting the weight in the concentric or concentrating part of the exercise. Deload, as in basically decreasing your load. Not working as hard as what maybe you have been or should be. And there could be a couple of different reasons for that. Every once in a while, people will go through what they call a deloading phase, or a couple of different workouts, maybe a week, a month, whatever, to kind of recoup. They're not working in the gym. They're still doing their workouts. They're just not doing it as heavy or as intense. You can also deload, like if you're recovering, or if you hurt your arm. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. I've deloaded twice for about 6 months at a time there, where you're basically, in that case, just doing your physical therapy work, not necessarily your full-on intensity of what you normally do. So deload. Drop set. Drop set is very similar to AMRAP, as many reps as possible. But in this case, what we're going to do is drop the weight of the exercise that we're doing for each set. So in one set, you might shoot for, if you're combining a drop set with an AMRAP, let's just say that you hit 20 repetitions with a specific exercise with a 20-pound weight. Well, then you're going to drop to a 15-pound weight and still continue to do the same exercise. And there's no rest in between typically with a drop set like that. You're just going to go from one weight to the next weight as fast as you can. Sometimes it helps to have a partner in the gym to help you out with that, especially on things like a bench press, where you're going to have to get up and change the weights and that kind of stuff. So that's a drop set. Eccentric. This is the opposite of the concentric. Concentric is actually lifting the weight against gravity. Eccentric is the lowering of the weight with gravity. And for me, and the advice that I give is you always want to focus on the eccentric just as much as you do the concentric. Don't just let those weights down. You're losing a lot of potential there, because the resistance against the weights on the way down really, really helps build those muscle fibers. So eccentric, make sure you focus on that one just as much as the concentric. Frequency, kind of just what it sounds like. How many times do you train a muscle group in the gym? And here again, if you're going to factor in the bro science, which we talked about before, everybody's going to have an opinion on that. If you're new, you can probably get away with 3 different workouts a week, and you're going to train each muscle group. You know, if you do a push-pull legs routine, you're going to train your push muscles once a week, you're going to train your pull muscles once a week, and you're going to train your legs once a week. Then you get into the bro science where, no, you got to do this. You'll be fine. three different times a week, or 3 different workouts a week is perfectly fine for frequency for newbies. A half rep. You can do these accidentally. You can do these intentionally. A half rep is basically only performing half the repetition or half the range of motion that you should be doing for a given exercise. So cases where you would do it intentionally, let's just take a dumbbell curl, for example. You can do half reps here in something that's called a 21, where you're basically doing only half the repetition. You're only lowering the dumbbells half the way down and before you lift them back up. And that's a positive scenario. In a negative scenario, you're half repping it. You're supposed to be doing a full contraction from full extension to full contraction, but you're not. You're just kind of half it, if you know what I mean. Moving into the eyes, we now have isometric. We've talked about these before in some of our push workouts. Isometric is basically holding the weight still in space at the point of biggest contraction. So in an extension or anything like that, you're going to hold the weight where your muscles are the most intensely contracted. And you're going to hold it there for as long as you can. So that's isometric. PR, not public relations. In this case, we're talking about a personal record. That's the best you've done on an exercise, basically. And people talk about, oh, I'm a PR, blah, blah, blah. It's just your best set ever. Rep, in case you haven't figured this one out by now, it's repetition. We've talked about it a lot. I've used it a lot. It's one of those things that you're going to do a lot in the gym because it's the basics of each exercise. Lifting something, 1 rep. Set, just talked about reps. A set is a group of reps. So when we talk about if you're going to do 12 reps of something before you rest for your next set, that's a set. So a set is 1 complete set of repetitions. And generally, like I said before, for newbies, we do around 3 sets. Superset. Well, it's just not more of the same set, but most of the time with a superset, you're going to focus on the opposite muscle groups in 2 different exercises. So for example, if you were doing dumbbell curls, which focus on the biceps, then for the second part of your superset, you're going to spin that around and do like tricep extensions. So you work the front part of your arm, then you work the back part of your arm. No rest in between. So you're going to go from one exercise right into the other for a superset. TUT, T-U-T, like King Tut, which stands for time under tension. That is the amount of time that you are holding a weight in a contracted state. Not necessarily when we're talking about isometric holding, but just the time that you spend lifting. And you should always shoot for more rather than less of this. So on your concentric phase, it's perfectly fine to go up quicker. But then on the eccentric, which we've already covered, you're going to lower the reps slowly. So your time under tension, or your TUT, is greater. And lastly, we've hit the V's. So, and this is by far not all the different terms that you're going to hear thrown around in the gym. This one is volume, not necessarily headphone volume, although sometimes that can get pretty loud. But volume is the amount of work that you actually do in the gym. So people talk about, I need to increase my volume. You're just going to increase your workload. And you can do that through a number of different ways. You might increase the number of reps you do. You might increase the number of sets you do. You might increase the number of, or the amount of weight that you use for your repetitions. So there's a number of different ways you can increase your volume in the gym. But basically volume is you're just doing more work in the gym. So that's it for the terms for Terminology Tuesday this Tuesday. Hope you have a great day.